First up, please welcome from Italy, Andreas Seppi. From Switzerland, defending champion, Roger Federer!
Hello and welcome to our live coverage of the second match of the day here on Centre Court, the Qatar ExxonMobil Open, the 20th anniversary of this fabulous event. And of course it's the defending champion now who will entertain us for the next couple of hours or so, up against Andreas Seppi, the 8th seed from Italy.
Hey guys, 6 balls, 7-9, net machine, the Hawkeye 3+1. And the TV changeover. Any question? Heads or tails? Heads. Heads. For you. You receive? Okay, good match, huh? Yeah, thank you.
No surprises there. Andreas Seppi electing to receive. Doesn't have one of the biggest deals in the business. Conditions this evening are a lot better than they were yesterday. And indeed, on the first day of competition here, it's not quite as cool as it has been, certainly not as windy, so a much better chance for these two to bring their A games to bear this evening. Looking for a place in the semi-final. We already know that Jo-Wilfried Tsonga has become the first player to make it through, won comfortably against Albert Ramos, who was a little disappointing, has to be said, the third seed dropping just 3 games along the way. And of course the winner of this match will play Tsonga for a place in Saturday's final. Nadal and Yuzhny up next, and to round off the card this evening it'll be the talented Frenchman Gael Monfils, seeded number 4 in this tournament, up against the 5th seed from Serbia, Viktor Troicki. So plenty of really good tennis still to come throughout the course of the evening. Jason Goodall alongside Barry Cowan for this one, and it's going to be interesting to see how well Seppi handles Federer, because historically, of course, he's struggled, but he's done well throughout his career. I mean, if you look at what he's got in terms of weaponry to hurt opponents, it's not a great deal, to be absolutely frank, and that's no disrespect, but yet he's made an incredibly good living and kept and maintained a very high ranking, hasn't he?
He's a very good player, Jason. I think the real strength of the Italian is he reads the play. He understands what he needs to do on the court, but unfortunately what he doesn't have is a big shot, and that's why his head-to-head record against Federer is as bad as it is. Played 7, lost 7, played 15 sets, lost 15 sets, and unfortunately he always has to work hard for his points. And also Federer can use that slice backhand, which I feel it can expose a few of the weaknesses in Seppi's game. So it's a match that if you're Seppi, like most of the lower ranked players, when you're playing a top player, if they play near the best, you're going to lose 100% of the time. But you just hope for that one occasion when they're not quite there with their game. And you have to be brave. You have to be courageous if you have those half chances. But I really don't see any sort of upset today, especially the way Federer has been in his opening 2 matches.
Seppi yet to drop a set on both of his previous matches in straights over Lucas Kubot and Guillermo Garcia-Lopez. Both those guys can play, so must be feeling pretty confident coming into the match. And of course that's what you need to be when you're up against someone who's won 70 career titles out of 100 finals. That's an exceptionally good percentage, isn't it?
3 minutes.
That's not bad either, is it? Yeah, Federer, of course, on this win streak at the moment. Just talk to us a little bit, Barry, about the two matches that he played and lost in Abu Dhabi. What did you make of those?
It was very much pre-season. I don't think Federer was too bothered the fact that he lost. Just a couple of matches to sort of blow off the cobwebs, get rid of the Christmas lunch.
And performed a lot better this week.
He's looked fresh, Jason, hasn't he? As he did really at the end of last year, and that time that Roger had off after the US Open and Davis Cup, I think has worked well, and without a shadow of a doubt he's going to be a tough man to beat, not just this week but also in Australia, which starts week on Monday.
Yeah, he's so good, really, at handling the schedule. He knows what is required from his body. He understands the need for rest throughout the course of the season. He doesn't think of it in terms of playing for 11 months and then having an off-season of 2 or 3 weeks. He likes to think of it in terms of blocks throughout the course of the year in which he needs to peak, and then he takes time off after that. There's a quick look. Federer fans will be delighted at that head-to-head record. They played initially in 2007 in Monte Carlo. Federer won that first match 6-6, so Seppi performed well there on the clay, and they've played 6 times after that. And of course, the last time they met was in Shanghai 2010. Federer won that 3-4, and it just seems that you were absolutely right in suggesting that there's no way to really hurt Federer. So if he does concentrate and plays relatively well, you know, there's nowhere for Seppi to go, is there? He can't suddenly start serving and volleying because he doesn't serve well enough. You know, even if he tries to come into the net, how often is he going to be able to do that? Because he gets behind in the rally so often, with Federer able to dominate behind his serve. So if you were coaching Seppi, I mean, what would you say to him?
Good luck.
I mean, you've got to have a certain amount of luck when you're up against the best players in the world. You've got to hope, as you suggested, that they have a little bit of an off day. And I like the phrase that you used, where you've got to be courageous, got to be brave. Take shots on that you wouldn't normally take on, and try and play your very best tennis. Because what? If you go out there and make a lot of errors and lose 1-on-1, it's no different to losing 3 and 4, is it?
And take shots on that you feel that you're capable of doing. So one of those, I think, is a double-handed backhand return for Seppi. You know, first game, if he gets a look at a second serve, try and step in, be aggressive, try and force, or just make Federer think that, okay, today might be different. Because in Federer's mind at this match is, I've won 7 times, this is going to be another comfortable day. Because he comes in thinking, what has Seppi got to worry me? But if you come up with the first game and do something that, wow.
Sartori, he's got his 2 daughters with him here this week. They've been hitting a few balls out in the courts as well, and he's been working with Seppi for a long, long time. It's a family affair as well. Got the fitness trainer involved from the same family, and he's done a good job. There's no question about that. But you know, this is a big ask, and sometimes it can be painful watching from the sidelines when you're so closely involved with a player or a loved one, and they just keep getting beaten up. Always nice to get a look at the defending champion in action. He's played relatively well in difficult conditions in his opening 2 matches here. It's a lot calmer and slightly warmer this evening, so we're expecting Federer to be able to play even better as he gets us underway against the Italian Andreas Seppi.
One other point as well, Jason, I think if you're someone like Seppi playing Federer, Federer loves to serve first. Okay, normally Seppi would like to return, but I think when you're playing someone like Roger, who's a great front runner, try and do something different. Try and get on the board first.
Yeah, and I think also you've got to consider the fact that you don't serve particularly well. So if you do fall behind by a break and he's serving first, you know, 3-love, 4-1, 5-2, it's a mountain to climb, isn't it? Oh, it's a lovely shot, and it's unquestionably his best from the back of the court, that double-handed backhand.
He moves well. He has tremendous balance to Seppi. Good evidence with that backhand pass.
He's also in terrific shape as well. He works exceptionally hard off the court, in the gym. You can often see him out on the practice court working on his footwork drills. So no surprises really that Federer gets off to a flyer. Delighted to say that we've got Robbie Koenig courtside again. Robbie, what are your thoughts on Federer's performances so far this week?
Yeah, I think he's been very silky. I was a little bit worried after I saw him play in Abu Dhabi. He didn't play his best tennis there, but certainly he's handled the conditions exceptionally well. Tough conditions the first couple of days. Today it's picked up about 10% since the first match, but still I think a lot better the conditions today, and I think Federer's only going to get better with each and every match that he plays.
And of course, when you say it's picked up 10%, you're referring to the wind there. What about the temperature? It does tend to drop pretty quickly when the sun goes down. Is it decidedly cooler than it was at 3:30?
Definitely. I'll tell you what, and I was watching my watch, and it's almost at about 4:45 that it starts to really get cool here. So the ball is going to be a little slower through the air. And I'm not sure if that's going to help Seppi or not, because as far as Roger is concerned, it doesn't really matter too much what the conditions are like. He's got the firepower to get the ball through the court if he has to, if it is a little cooler. So I think things are playing into Roger's hands, because Seppi's going to find it, I think, tough to generate the necessary pace in order to hurt Roger.
Thanks for that, Robbie.
Two great returns already in the opening 3 points. One off the second serve and that particular one off the first serve, with almost no backswing.
That's phenomenal, both the footwork and then the execution of the stroke, and it just gives you a really good indication of how confident Federer is at the moment.
Just wanted to make a comment on those two shots you just saw there on the replay. The slower paced slice followed by the ripper was so easy on the eye, and you get such a good perspective being down here courtside of the various paces that Federer uses in his rallies.
It's very difficult, isn't it, for opponents to get into any kind of rhythm when you're dealing with different shots on a regular basis, and then that injection of pace, that's what the best players in the world are so good at, and they disguise it so well. So tough to read when that's coming at you. Still break point here. Couldn't have wished for a better start. A delight for the vast army of Federer fans. Breaks at the very first time of asking in glorious fashion.
Surprise, surprise. Federer's first return game gets the break. It's remarkable how good he is at the start of matches. Even when he feels nervous in some of the big finals that he's had. He just puts his marker down so early.
Pitchy love.
This is what I was talking about earlier, for Seppi electing to receive and not serving particularly well. If you do fall behind an early break, I mean, behind the 8 ball. looks like Federer's simply in second gear. He's able to control the ball wonderfully well.
40 love.
In total control of these rallies.
It's been a sublime start.
Game Federer.
6 minutes. These two have been going at it. A couple of minutes a game for Federer.
3 games to love.
It's no slouch. And he leads 3-love, first set. Not a bad start.
It just makes the game look so easy.
Give us your thoughts on his chances of winning the Australian Open. Of the big four, put them in ranking order in terms of who would be, in your mind, most likely to win that event.
World ranking, as simple as that. Djokovic, the favourite. Nadal, second favourite. Federer third, and Murray fourth. And the reason I've got Nadal ahead of Federer, I think, excuse me, is the speed of court. I think it definitely helps Rafa playing at night. So if Federer was to play Nadal, it would be in the semi-finals. So you're guaranteed to be a night match, and I think it certainly plays into the hands of Rafa. But of course, Roger played so well against Rafa at the O2. Brilliant tactics as well. But to follow on what you were asking, Jason, Murray has to be fourth because he hasn't won a Grand Slam. It was a couple of years ago when everyone was saying, well, Murray's the favourite. To me, was ridiculous because he'd never won one. How can you be a favourite to win a Grand Slam when the other guys have won numerous titles?
I like that play. Nothing wrong with coming in up the middle of the court. It's highly effective. As long as you trust yourself on the volley, because more often than not, you're going to get the ball pummeled back at you. He's got nice hands.
And especially when you hit it that hard, Jason, you give Seppi very little reaction time. He hasn't got any time to think about the pass. No angles to work with, and he's shown some good variety on the return of serves, hasn't he? He's run around, hit a couple, he's sliced a couple. That one he hit and came in behind. So it's clear that he's going to go after Seppi's second serve. And he knows it's a weak part of his game, and there he is trying to do it again. Go big with the forehand, intimidate him.
And I think we've seen Federer look to be more aggressive with the return since he hooked up with Paul Annacone, haven't we?
Oh, definitely. I've seen him chip and charge occasionally against the big boys when he's playing against the likes of Djokovic and Murray. Especially Murray, trying to intimidate his second serve, which is often an Achilles for the squad.
And he really went after Nadal's serve, didn't he, in the O2 Arena?
Big time.
Yeah.
And that's
with
where
good effect, eh?
That's where the game's changed, because 5-6 years ago when he played in the likes of Roddick or Hewitt, he could just chip the ball cross-court short. Now it doesn't work against those top guys.
Game, Seppi.
It's a better service game. Will help settle the nerves. No, he was famed, wasn't he, Federer, in the past, for just using that chip return so well to make a high percentage of returns. And then once he got into the rally, he backed himself to win the majority of those. But the players that are rubbing shoulders with Federer now at the top of the rankings are so aggressive. You have to be more aggressive yourself. Very first shot of the rally.
Even the likes of Burdick and Söderling when the Swede beat Federer at the French Open. Just surprised he doesn't serve volley a little bit more in these events?
I think so, because he used to do it all the time, and he's supremely confident when he does, and perhaps, you know, he does need to do that against the best players in the world. So just to build up your confidence, do it in the earlier matches. That's an overrule from the umpire.
Mr. Seppi is challenging a call on left base. The ball was called out.
I think it was a pretty decent overrule. It did look a little long, and Federer just had a little glance at the umpire as well. That always helps. Yeah, good overrule.
Constant. 30-15.
He missed it, but I like the play from Federer. It wasn't all-out pace. There was a little bit of spin.
Well, Sartori will understand that this is a huge point right here.
Mr. Federer
will challenge. He just wants to be sure that it was a good call, but it looked well long, wanted to clip the top of the net. And he'll be disappointed with that game. A total loss of concentration there, really. He's allowed Seppi to hang around, because the Italian now is back on serve. Of course, it's still Federer with a slender lead. Defending champion
3 games to 2
at 3-2.
Mr. Federer has 2 chances remaining.
Well, Robbie, I just want to get your thoughts on what we were discussing with Barry at the previous change events. How do you rate Federer's chances in Australia relative to the other 3 players in the top 4 in the world?
Yeah, I'm probably going to change things up a bit. And the way I look at it now is how well players perform at the beginning of the year. And I always think Murray's been a good performer at the beginning of the year. And for me, it's a case of he is going to win a major sooner rather than later, rather than having never won one before. So I'll probably jostle it around a little bit. I'll probably go with Novak as still my favorite. I'll probably put Rafa in there. Excuse me, I'd rather put Roger in there as well, just ahead of Andy. And I'm going to put Rafa in 4th spot. So Djokovic, Federer,
quickly, please.
Murray, Nadal.
Players are ready. Thank you. Any seats for now?
Lot 15. It's so unusual for Federer to lose his serve in that manner. Barely remember him hitting a double fault on break point.
No, second serve's so reliable, isn't it?
That's for service.
good length. And Seppi's got to fight hard to try and use two hands on that backhand as much of the time as possible. The slice isn't a natural shot of his. Federer responding well so far to the loss of his serve in the previous game.
Just doesn't like that play. No pace to the forehand.
So a golden opportunity here for the defending champion to get back on track.
Game, Federer.
Federer gets the job done at the first time of asking.
Federer
increases his lead to 2 games once more.
Well, some fantastic forehands. Just incredible pace he's able to generate with a racket head speed.
15 love.
It's Mirka. Mum as well, and Dad too. Saw Dad in the gym this morning. Was pumping some iron.
30 love.
In pretty decent shape, and nice to see him in the gym. Were you in there this morning, Buzzer?
Morning off. I have been there 2 previous mornings.
Good.
There was a treadmill out of order, wasn't there, this morning? After me, I finished with it yesterday.
You didn't break it, did you?
Love.
For some reason, it just wouldn't go over 22 k's an hour.
Mum's here as well. It always brings the family to Doha, Roger. It's a nice way to start the year. It's kind of a continuation of Christmas, isn't it, for the Federer family? It's really nice. Seems like the holidays go on a little longer.
Game, Federer.
Nice little approach shot. Took a bit of pace off that first serve as well. That's a tactic that he's used throughout the course of the week as well.
Federer leads 5-2.
And the defending champion will be delighted with that passage of play. 5-2.
Well, Jason, I often think when Federer plays, every day's Christmas.
Must seem like that, mustn't it? I like that quote from Paul Annika, and when he'd been working with Pete Sampras, and then he started working with Federer, and he said their attitudes were very different. Federer was in much better shape, having had to deal with the grind of the tour for 10 years. Well, if that's grinding it, I don't know what playing on the satellites and the challenges is. Still loves the game, and that's important. What do you feel about his chances of staying at the top of the game for at least another couple of seasons?
Maybe beyond that. I really do, Jason. I think physically he's still in great shape. There's no sign that he's taking his toll. I often refer to sportsmen. They can be an old 30-year-old or a young 30-year-old, and I still think Federer is a young 30-year-old.
Time.
Players out of their chairs pretty swiftly, as has been the case all week, because of course it's pretty nippy down there, so they like to get on with it, and you can understand that.
Love. 30 love.
That's a Dear Diary moment, that is. A couple of aces now for Seppi. Pretty decent pace, almost 190k.
It certainly appears he's had a few miles per hour of that first serve.
Seems to be moving well this week, Federer. That's always key.
Yeah, the shot that I really look out for is whether Federer's at peak fitness, is that running forehand. If he's firing on that shot, you know he's feeling good about his fitness.
Just thinks so clearly in between shots throughout the course of a rally, Federer.
40-30.
Yeah, it's a move that I really like. As soon as you see the double-hander, take that one hand off the racket, make your move.
Game, Seppi.
That's good second serve and some pretty decent meaty blows throughout the course of that game. That certainly helped his cause. The coach will be a little happier with that. Still Federer, though, who stands upon the brink of wrapping up this opening set at 5-3.
And they've been on court for 23 minutes and they've played
15 love.
Now 43 points. Seppi's only hit 3 winners. You know, 2 of those have been aces.
Yeah, just proving the point that it's so difficult to hurt Federer as far as the Italian's concerned. Well, it was a good return from Seppi there. Got the ball nice and deep. But Federer still easily outmaneuvering him in the end. And here he is. 3 set points.
Game at first set. Federer.
7 previous matches that these two have contested have all been won in straight sets by Federer. And so far this evening, it's very much more of the same. Wraps up the opening set in just 24 minutes. Well, apart from that loss of concentration, that poor service game, it was impressive, wasn't it?
Yeah, another Federer masterclass. I've really been impressed with probably 4 out of the 5 sets he's played this week. I thought the second set yesterday probably wasn't as dynamic as certainly the other 4, and I think he'd be delighted with everything, especially first serve percentage, 79%. If Federer keeps that going for this week in Australia, he's going to be a tough man to dislodge. And I like the winners being aggressive. Unfortunately for Seppi, he's just picking up scraps without really doing too much wrong.
Might want a closer look at that one.
Mr. Seppi is charging a call on right center serve. The ball was
because he's got a pretty loose arm today. He's couple of aces already. His heart rate's up a little bit there. Yeah, good serve. Federer had already moved over. He felt that the challenge was going to be successful.
It's still early days, Jason. You've seen Federer in Doha for the last few years. Is this as well as he's played in his first couple of matches of his first event of the year?
I think so, and I think it's because he was able to finish last season on such a high, you know, winning so many matches. He's talked about that this week, the fact that he feels he's in the middle of a, you know, really good streak. He feels comfortable about his game. Movement is so important. I think he's looking fluent around the court. Looking good. But of course, Barry, you know, the guys that he's played are not quite as good, not quite in his league. Few are. You know, we'll know more tomorrow, and I think we'll know a little bit more come Saturday. But certainly looking really good so far.
But his stats are now that he's winning more matches in straight sets than when he was world #1. It's just those big matches that he wasn't able to win.
Game, Seppi.
That's what Seppi needs to do. He's got to take that one on, there's no question about it. And keep that first serve percentage nice and high. Made 4 of 5 there. And of course needs to get off to a slightly better start than he did initially. You got a pair of those for her indoors, Harry? I can't see my girlfriend in those. I think she'd kick me out if I brought a pair of those back for her birthday.
Love it.
Well, this was the end. He lost his serve in the opening set.
Oh, this is interesting. A couple of loose points from Federer, and suddenly it's Seppi very much in the driving seat. Took a bit of pace off that, added a bit of slice. Higher percentage play, nice and accurate, moving away from Seppi all the time. A little flatter, that one. Just as effective, though. 2 break points saved. Here's a third.
Mr. Federer is charging a call on right near the ball was got out.
I think the ego's got involved there a little bit. Yeah, just missed. Oh, it's a loose game. That's a couple now that we've seen from Federer.
Seppi leads 2 games to 0. Mr. Federer has to change.
Yeah, what would be worrying really for Federer is how he's played those 2 break points. The opening set was a double fault, and then that last one was a slightly tentative second serve and a couple of tentative ground shots. That's not a man of... he's won 19 matches in a row.
Bonus for Seppi. Now looking, of course, to build on this early lead.
15-love.
Already the same amount of winners in the second set as he produced throughout the first.
There's that really effective movement as well to Federer's right, and then that injection of pace, phenomenal.
But how does he take this inside the baseline? I mean, it's truly remarkable.
But his dynamic balance is so good when he's on the run like that. He's able to stay so low to the ground, and the way he stays on balance is incredible. You know, sometimes when I'm commentating up in the booth, you get a bit blasé when you watch Roger play, but when you're down here courtside, it just reiterates what he's all about.
Of course, what Seppi needs to do is just play the ball. Not worry too much about who's on the other side of the net, what he's been able to achieve throughout his glorious career. And he's done a good job of that in the early stages of this second set.
Game Seppi.
Posting some pretty good numbers on serve. He's made 80% of his first serves so far in set number 2, and as a result, it's helped him to a 3-love lead.
I've got a question for you guys up there. When you've played somebody a lot of times, like Federer, especially one of the top boys, and you've lost to them a lot, do you think it's easier to come out against them, having played them, having the experience of playing against them, even though you've lost to them a few times, versus playing them for the first time?
Yes, I do. I think, Robbie, I think the advantage that a lot of these players like Seppi have is they've seen Federer play a lot. And at the end of the day, he has no pressure on him. You know, his expectations are just go out and, you know, realistically, does he believe he can win? No. So you just got to try and do your best, try and play your game. But the real crunch comes if they have half a chance to win a set or half a chance to close out the match. Then that's when you really see their true mettle. What about you, Robbie?
Yeah, I always think it's nice that you're able to negate the aura. I think the first couple of times you play the big guys, the aura can be intimidating. So like when
well, Robbie and I are marvelling at his movement in the last game. That first point was even better. The way he was able to almost half volley that first shot.
Yeah, needs to start afresh emotionally here, Federer. Draw a line in the sand and pick his game up. Unusual, because both second serves as well have clipped the top of the net, and so poor doubles as opposed to hitting them, you know, aggressively and missing them deep or wide.
Yeah, just wondering with those couple of second serves, Jason, whether he's trying to get a little bit more width, and because of that, he's not actually attacking the ball. You still have to have the same racket head speed on the second serve as you do on the first serve.
Third shot.
It's a great return. Hard and deep. Always a good combination.
he's done a good job in this. On Federer's second serve in this match. He's won 5 out of 9 points, Seppi.
Unfortunately, didn't get a look at another there.
Choose.
Solid volley. It's a nice way to construct a point.
Federer.
He actually wasn't one of his best approach shots either.
Nothing wrong with what he was trying to do. Again, I like the variation in terms of the trajectory over the net. A heavily sliced backhand followed by the high roller cross court.
And touch Federer.
Loves that serve. It's his go-to shot when he really needs a point. Seppi rather having a long, hard look at where that serve bounced, deciding not to challenge. Federer back on track. Seppi, though, still with a decent lead.
If he changes racket, that's an unusual time. Doesn't he change it after 13 games, does he?
Might just be looking for a little bit of a lift here. He's interesting, though, Barry. When I talked to him about when he likes to change his rackets in matches, he said, I never change before serving, because I know I can hold serve easily. I change before returning to get a little bit of a boost when I'm looking for a break. So obviously that's what he's thinking here.
I was just thinking, Jason, if I adopted the same tactic as Federer, I'd have walk on court with 44 rackets. Every time, this game's going to be different. Oh.
Tennis from Federer, but I just want to quickly ask Robbie whether it's evident courtside that Seppi has taken it up a notch in terms of the pace that he's creating both on serve and from the back of the court here in the second set.
I'm seeing it on serve, but I'm not feeling it as much from the back of the court. For me, what I'm sensing down here is these lapses that Roger's having when he's missing a couple of backhands, when he's making the doubles faults. Those kind of errors are opening the door for Seppi, who's Mr. Consistent. That serve there, right around 190, which is good conditions are a little slower now that it's cooling down. But it's those kind of rallies right there. Basic backhands, couple of miss-hits. That's what I'm sensing most down here courtside.
Thanks for that, Robbie. Seppi looking pretty good at the moment. 2 games away from taking us the distance. Well, one of the big assets I think Seppi has is the fact that very rarely does he get ruffled. He's such a good competitor, and you know, this second set is evidence of that. Blown away in the first, didn't let it affect him negatively. Happy to get on with things in the second.
Yeah, it's what we were talking about in the opening set, Jason, wasn't it? Is you have to play your game, and there's a couple of areas that you have to do to try and give yourself the best chance to get close to someone like Federer. He's done that with a second serve, but yeah, it's important if you do lose the first at 6-3. It's not to say, well, okay, that hasn't worked, so I'm going to try and do something that I can't do and end up losing the set 6-love. But on the other hand, there's no point just going and saying, I must not make any unforced errors, and then you're not really having a say at all. There's always that fear that there's another 2 or 3 gears for Federer to go to at any time.
Love it.
That's another sloppy start to this game. Just slapping a little bit at that one. Severin Luthi, Swiss Davis Cup captain.
Quite a few of his errors in this second set being in the net.
59.
You know, we talk, Jason, a lot about how it's like when players are playing great. I also find it fascinating when they're having a bit of a nightmare for their high standard. How do they get over that difficult period?
And how do you think Federer generally does that?
Well, he's been great, hasn't he, in his career, of putting behind him bad matches, bad moments of matches. And I just think he's probably saying to himself, it will come. Don't need to panic. You know, there will be a stage if he keeps making unforced errors that he might slightly change it at a point in the third set, but certainly at the moment I don't think he's going to change it.
That's good.
Stands. 30-all.
That is a soft error, and that's the type of shot you cannot afford to miss. Upper break, 30-all, second serve. You have to make Federer earn that.
Especially when he's been making a lot of unforced errors.
Yep.
Like that.
Juice.
Just his range a little bit. And you're right, Barry, a lot of these errors are ending up in the net, and that's, of course, the first hurdle that you have to try and overcome. Always want to take that out of play. Another chance to break here. Beautifully done. Terrific footwork. Federer paying the price for dropping that one a little too short, and quite a turn up for the books here. It's Seppi who leads 5-1.
That's a tremendous effort because he didn't hold back. Positive, went for his shot, got the reward.
That's what you were talking about at the top of the match, Barry. A half chance comes along on a big point, got to be prepared to take it on. And rewarded there for his courage.
It's a dangerous game, this, for Seppi, because probably in Federer's mind, the fact that he's down 5-1, he probably already thinking towards the third, might relax a little bit. There's the threat of playing some stunning tennis like he did in the opening point. And then all of a sudden, if he gets the break, he starts to become a bit more interested. That's not to say that he totally switched off, but there's a different type of mindset.
A little bit of rear guard action from Federer here.
Just take it on the chin if you're Seppi. Done nothing wrong to be down a couple of break points. Still only made 3 unforced errors in this second set, the Italian.
Still break points.
Net for service.
Shame. But again, not a disaster as far as the Italian's concerned. Still got a little bit of a cushion here.
Seppi leads 5 games to 2.
So Federer still in the hunt. Latter stages of this second set.
Whatever happens in this second set now, Jason, I think a great game for Federer because he just found his form again. I think it's Seppi had held there, ended the set 6-1, and all of a sudden Federer starting the third set having had that bad run of games.
I think you were right in what you were suggesting. Very rarely does he start thinking, right, I've got to take a bit of pace off the ball, I've got to make a few more shots. He's very stubborn in that regard, isn't he? He just keeps going for it in the belief that he will be able to turn things around.
You and me would be saying, oh, I can't make any unforced error.
It has hurt him, I think, sometimes in the past against certain players, that stubbornness, or when he's been playing poorly. But generally speaking, of course, you look back over the course of his career and you can't argue with it.
But you often find, don't you, that some of the players' strengths can also be at times their weakness.
Federer serving to stay in this second set.
Yeah, I don't think he had any doubts in his mind if he went to hit that backhand. Oh, I've missed a few in this second set. That was a wonderful strike. Amazingly, only his second backhand winner of the match.
He's made it.
13.
He loaded up terrifically well, used his legs.
13-15.
What do you think Seppi's mindset is at the moment?
Well, I was just thinking that the heart rate's starting to get up a little bit. This next service game's going to be awfully interesting, isn't it? So worth reiterating, he's never taken a set of Federer. He's lost their previous 16. Seppi has dominated from the back of the court in this second set, and that takes some doing, but of course a lot of that's down to the errors Federer's made. Oh, it's a beautiful shot. Sweetly struck.
Well, technically it's a great shot, and that's why he's able to find this type of play on a big point.
It's a good response. Seppi there, just 2 points away. Not anymore. Federer finishing with a flourish. He's hung around long enough in this set to make this next service game extremely interesting.
5 games to 3.
Yeah, he certainly has, Jason. I guess the one advantage for Seppi is that he is serving with the wind, so it certainly helps when you're hitting first serves in, but of course it's a little trickier sometimes hitting second serves downwind if you're feeling a bit of pressure. So we'll see how he goes. Good start though, good first serve, but Federer's done a good job of neutralizing it. Did you prefer serving into the wind or with it?
Love 15.
Into it, especially in a big game, because I would always hit through the ball a little more, just as you were suggesting there. And you know, that first point doesn't bode particularly well, does it?
Love 13.
Yeah, what's happened in the last 2.5 games, one of the ingredients that makes Federer so great. The fact that he's been able to put behind him the disappointment of what happened in the opening 6 games.
And of course, you know, Seppi now feeling the pressure. He's so desperate to win a set off Federer. And it's so funny, isn't it, how your mind works. I mean, you know, 5-3 up, all the pressure's on Federer. He has to break here to stay in the set, but you don't feel that as the server. It's brilliance.
Our left farm, the ball was got out.
Don't think he's going to get any joy from the boys in Hawkeye. So worth a shout though, just in case. No, he's made it.
Love 14.
chance for Federer here to get back on serve.
That's a good second serve. Put a little bit more on it.
Yeah, we talked about the fact that he needed to serve well in this game. He's only made 1 of 4 first serves. Still in trouble. Such good rally from Federer under pressure initially, used the slice backhand to great effect, and eventually able to draw yet another error from Seppi. That service game was a relatively poor one. We are indeed back on serve. It's Seppi who leads though, 5-4.
Well, it's been quite a recovery from Roger Federer. And Robbie, was there any difference in the body language with Federer at the start of the set when he was going through those difficult moments, and now that he's regrouped, or has he just been the same?
No, body language is the same. You know, he's just made a small adjustment. He's not missing in the net anymore. He's putting a few more balls in play, good trajectory of the ball over the net, and he's just basically making Seppi hit a few more balls. And of course, that started to be a little more telling when the pressure was really on. More balls coming back into play. Seppi felt towards the tail end of that set. He needed to do more, made a couple of unforced errors, pays the price. It's a pattern we see so often when players are trying to close out set or matches against the very best. And you were speaking it in the opening set, that very fact. We've seen it firsthand right now.
So difficult, isn't it, for players that don't have the ability to earn cheap points when it really matters on serve.
Time.
This has been a good effort by Federer. Would have been very easy just to forget about this second set and to concentrate on winning this one in 3, but Federer now will have ambitions of getting this one done in 2. 4-5.
Well, he's just getting blown away at the moment, Seppi.
And this is one of the problems with Federer playing so quickly. Uses momentum so well. Federer with the mistake there on the approach.
30-15.
Well, I was watching him as he's hitting the shot, guys, and a little too casual with that approach. Got to go inside out there.
40-15.
But I think that's where Federer thought Seppi was moving.
Well, he's certainly cut out the unforced errors, and in doing so, causing all sorts of problems for Seppi now. He's taking the net out of play. A lot of the errors were falling short in the opening stages of this second set, and things happening really quickly now. So often in situations like this that I think, you know, Seppi here needs to take his time, try and regroup.
Love.
20th unforced error of the set.
30 love.
That return looked close as well.
So often happens though, doesn't it, when you're down in a set, 5-love, 5-1, 5-2, you're so focused about getting back on level terms that often when you do, you just subconsciously relax a little bit and then make a couple of errors.
40 love.
Wonderful combination of shots there. The defensive sliced backhand was crucial on the penultimate shot of the rally.
6 against 5.
And in the end, finishing with considerable aplomb. Seppi back into the lead once more. 6-5.
Well, he's hit the backhand down the line particularly well in this second set. If it's on the rally shot, but also to finish the point. Gets behind the ball well, Jason, doesn't he?
Yeah, I like the way he pivots off that front foot on that backhand. And as you suggested earlier, there's very little that can actually go wrong with the shot. So from a technical perspective, it's not going to break down very often, even when he's under a lot of pressure.
I think what we've seen from him this evening, Jason, is something that he can do further down the line. He's been a bit more aggressive on that backhand.
Especially when you're up against a higher ranked opposition. He has found a way to hurt Federer with that shot.
That you love.
Good length on the approach, but Seppi not having to move too much.
It's another example of Federer not going with the inside-out forehand on the approach. I think he gets burnt more often than not when he hits that inside in.
But he got in with the slice. Do you think it's a case, Robbie, that he's wary of the backhand?
No, I don't think Federer gets too concerned what's going on the other side of the net. He plays his shot and then responds accordingly. But he does it a fair bit, Barry, over the years watching him play. I'd like to see him go inside out 95% of the time on that approach. I think players can always do a little bit more damage with the forehand when they're on the run or stretching, and what they can do with the backhand, especially pace-wise.
Well, again, he at times gets set up there, didn't he? That's another wonderful strike.
15-14.
Well, it's some sequence of points from the Italian.
And again, he continues to take it to Federer. Here he is, 2 set points. That's the first time in 17 attempts that Seppi is able to get a set off Federer, and does so in remarkable circumstances, having got tight initially when he held a really big lead. 1 set apiece. Well, Barry built up a good head of steam there, remarkably winning 9 of the last 12 points, just when it looked like Federer was starting to play his best tennis.
Yeah, sort of bizarre set of tennis, wasn't it? The Seppi race to that 5-1 lead was consistent, really didn't do particularly anything special. It was a couple of good shots, but a lot of unforced errors from Federer, 23 throughout the second set. But the last 2 games, I really felt that the Italian put his foot on the accelerator, and mentally to come back after losing those 4 games in a row was absolutely fantastic. So Federer will be disappointed he's lost his first set against the Italian, but Seppi serves first at the beginning of the third, and Federer will be pushing for the break, that's for sure.
15 love.
It's a wonderful start to this deciding set. Can Seppi keep it up?
Well, he's shown really good focus. First couple of points of the third set. Growing in confidence. What we're concerned, Federer, is he served well. 73% first serves in, but he's lost serve 4 times. How often do you see him lose serve 3 times in a set?
Game Seppi. First game, final sets.
Well, it's always nice when you can serve first and hold and do it speedily, as the Italian did there.
Yes, Barry, when you are looking at first serve percentages, you've always got to look at that relative to how many points you're winning on the first serve, how effective it is, haven't you?
Yeah, he's 65, isn't he? Normally 80% plus against someone like Seppi.
Yes, I think probably one or two things, a combination of things that Seppi's probably returning well, doing a good job of neutralizing the serve, but Federer certainly not serving it as hard as we know he can. That was a bigger one in the 190s, but most of them have been in the mid-180s. We haven't seen too many over 200.
Yeah, it's a tactic we've seen Federer use throughout the week, perhaps because of the exceptionally windy conditions, especially yesterday, taking a bit of pace off that first serve, making more. It's not something that you see that often. He likes to pick his targets, as he did there, in the corners of the box.
One game on.
Keep rattling that serve down. Relatively speaking, he's never going to be up at the 210, 220 mark. To the disguise is often enough to cause opponents all sort of problems.
Love it.
I like that little fade of a backhand. Ball stays so low on this course when you can hit it with heavy slice. Tough for the opposition with extreme grips to get underneath that.
I think his slice has got heavier over the years.
Let's proceed.
Works well in London as well, doesn't it? The O2 Arena, year-end championships. Ball stays nice and low there.
It works well, London period.
Yes. SW19, pretty decent. Just overcooked it.
Has he made any commitment yet for the doubles at the Olympics?
I don't think
Whether
so.
he's playing men's doubles or mixed?
Yeah, I'm not so sure the thing with Hingis is going to work, if that's what you're referring to. I heard quotes, or read quotes from both suggesting that that's on the back burner at the moment. Of course, he won the gold medal previously with Stam, didn't he? He'd love a singles, though, wouldn't he? Do you get the impression that the stars are aligning for Federer to win the gold medal at Wimbledon this summer? Or is it going to be a big ask for him?
Well, he'll certainly go there as one of the favourites.
There's Kareem the Dream. It's good serve. He's definitely trying to drop the hammer with a little more frequency in this match.
Yeah, you wonder how the Olympics will pan out, because, of course, it comes off the back of such a hectic period in the schedule.
Yeah, only a few weeks after Wimbledon, isn't it? Still break point for Federer. Just left with a little too much to do on that final pass. Federer patience, constructing the point well enough to eventually draw the error. He's a break-up, 2-1.
That was the key word, Jason, wasn't it? Patience. He didn't overplay, but had the right balance, was aggressive, wasn't looking to hit the clean winner.
Nice.
Yeah, I like everything you said there, Bez. And just to finish it off, I like the way he went for the inside-out approach shot that time. I think that was a mistake he'd made a little earlier on, going back to the forehand of Seppi. Better shot selection, paid dividends on an important point.
Yeah, another advantage to go the back behind, isn't it, Robbie? Instead of giving him the pass on the run.
I don't like it. I just don't like it. I watch guys hit that inside-in forehand approach and get burned 80% of the time.
It's good start to this game. Seppi just wants confirmation from Hawkeye that it was as good as it looked initially.
Well, the danger for the Italian is Federer is in a great run on serve in this third set. 5 out of 5, 3 aces.
Mr. Federer is charging a call on left serve. The ball was cut out.
Good movement from Federer here with the half volley. Definitely improved his movement at the net.
Just a little wild there. Not easy to generate pace when you're falling onto your back foot with a single-handed backhand. Such a delicate volley and ghost into the net, so effective. We've seen it all week from various players.
40-15.
So casual with the volley. And that's what the best can do, take pace off their opponent's shot and yet still maintain total control over the ball.
I think he could have been better if he had better hand skills, though. Well, even Seppi was impressed with that one, as was his camp.
Federer just back to basics, head down, blinkers on. And he's got off to a decent start in this deciding set.
Federer needs 3 games to 1.
Well, we were talking a little bit about it in Monfils' match last night, Jason. You know, although Federer lost the second set, you see the way he's looking to play. You can see it in the semi-final of the Australian Open. You would expect to be a couple levels higher, the execution a little bit better, but the way he's playing.
Change of racket, so going in search of the added insurance of a double break here. Must-win game for the Italian.
That's why he finds the game so simple at times, that with those great hands that he has, he's able to somehow manufacture the ball back in play, make life difficult.
That'll do. You need a bit of luck against the best players in the world. And he's in desperate need of it here to try and get a foothold in this deciding set.
Clean living guy.
Wonderful variation. Federer didn't read that at all.
Federer needs 3 games to 2.
So Seppi reduces the arrears to just a single game. But still Federer with a slight advantage. Whatever happens here, Barry, in terms of the eventual outcome, Seppi is going to have so many positives to take from this week, but particularly this match.
Yeah, and he needs to take that forward, Jason, doesn't he? And look to play the same way. You know, because when you forget the one in the last game, the golden backhand, but generally with the backhand, you feel it's a safe shot. You feel it's a shot he can make 90% of the time. I just feel sometimes he does become a little bit too passive.
Yeah, this hopefully will give him a little bit of belief that when he does play the higher ranked opponents, that he can hurt them with that shot, because when he's set his front foot down this evening and really gone for it, it's worked well both down the line and cross court.
Time. Net for Swiss.
Brilliant again, that volley. Paid respect to the pass. He's improved where he needs to hit his volleys in the last couple of years.
30 love.
And I guess that's just a direct result of his opponents at the very top of the game passing so much better now. Got to try and cut down their options. It's a nice speedy service game, that one.
Federer leads 4 games to 2.
That's a total contrast to what happened in the second set. Federer just cruising on serve, only lost 2 points in his 3 service games.
Yeah, he's making 71% of his first serves, so I'd be happy with that. 65%, usually the benchmark most of the pros use. And again, looking at those two hand in hand, first serve percentage and the effectiveness of that serve. Seppi is paying the price for perhaps going for a little more pace with his first serve. He's only made 9 of 16 so far. That's 56%. But it's worth going for. It's no good just rolling the ball in.
30 love.
Emotionally, as a player, that's something that you've got to come to terms with if you are going to be a little more aggressive. We were talking about this the other day in relation to Rafael Nadal. You've got to be prepared to accept that you might miss more frequently.
I'm sure Seppi felt like he played a good point there.
Nicely done. It's not an easy shot, that. Got to get enough purchase on it for it to be effective, but enough spin to take it up, over and down into the court. So timing has to be spot on.
Game, Seppi.
Federer didn't fancy hanging around there, did he?
Federer leads 4 games to 3.
Concentrating already on his next service game. He's a couple away now from victory. Leads 4-3, deciding set.
Do we get a feeling, Jason, is a bit like a Pete Sampras in his prime, where he's got the early break and you sort of just focus on his serve to close it out?
Yeah, he'll have a swing at the returns, won't he? If he makes a couple, might be interested in another breaker serve, but if not, he'll be supremely confident on being able to get the job done from here on in.
No, he moves well, and well, he has the advantage of being tall, but he also has a big stride. He wouldn't necessarily teach the technique on the serve, but it's held up. Yet to hit a double fault tonight, I think, which is also encouraging. because Federer went after that second serve early on.
Time.
It's a really good return.
Law 15.
You know, that's the difficulty for the server, having just finished their motion, getting out of the way of the ball. And the returner goes with pace up the middle of the court. Nicely done. Got to keep being aggressive whenever he gets a half chance like that. He's found it relatively easy to do off the backhand, so he'll be pleased with that off the forehand.
He'll also be pleased with the speed on that forehand. That was quick. 148. It's up there with the big boys.
So good there, not only to actually hit the shot, but it's the awareness when you're coming in. Most people are panicking then, thinking, I've got to try and take this on the volley. But he knew that in order to be able to hit a winner, he'd be much better off just letting the ball bounce.
And it was some pass as well from Seppi. That might just be one of the shots of the week.
I mean, that's what the textbook tells you to do, right? You've got to dip the ball to your opponent's feet when they're coming in. Let's not underestimate the importance of the previous point as well, because had he lost that, Federer would have been facing 2 break points. As it is, he's facing break point here. What an opportunity for Seppi. Perhaps that attitude of just concentrating on his service games might come back to haunt him.
Did he need to change direction there? That was such a difficult shot to go down the line. You understand why he's doing it, because he's looking to be aggressive, but I think hindsight, just wait one more shot.
Yeah, Barry, you were spot on the previous break point. It was just a little additional pace on that backhand of Federer, and it wasn't the right moment to change direction on the ball. I think you've got to be a little bit more selective, especially on break points when you're a little tight. Let's see what he does this time around.
Federer is challenging, but if he's not successful here, it means he's only made 2 of 8 first serves in this game. It's allowing Seppi plenty of opportunities to gain the upper hand in the rally, and he has missed it. What will the Italian do here with a look at a second serve on break point? Sensible serve. I like going to the weaker shot there.
Mr. Federer has 1 challenge remaining.
Especially when we consider how well he's been hitting that backhand. So Federer using his brain there.
Net for service.
He's probably not thinking it now, but if he can get through the next couple of games, it's probably what he needed, Federer. Tough match ahead of Tsonga tomorrow.
Game, Federer.
Gets out of jail there, Federer. Manages to fend off the break points and move within a game of victory.
Federer leads 5-3.
Seppi's got to tell himself that he will get another opportunity. And of course, at the very top of the agenda is a service hold here to give him a fighting chance.
Well, the way Federer returned that serve, he wants to break. He stood further back, got the ball back in play, which he did for the rest of the rally. Might be the first time he's backed off, Jason, is it?
I think so.
I'll
be disappointed with that. Seppi now just a point away from another hold, and we've remarked about how well he served and the extra mustard that he's been able to put on the first. Look at the average first serve speeds there. Federer 178, Seppi 183.
Game, Seppi.
So that's a big improvement that Seppi's made. Gets the holds. Federer now will have the opportunity to put this one to bed and move safely through to the semi-finals. For he leads 5-4.
Yeah, another good service game, and he's done nothing wrong in this third set. He really got blown away early on. Federer came out the blocks fast.
It's been a really good effort, hasn't it, mentally, to get back into the match after losing the first set so convincingly, to hold his nerve at the tail end of the second set when he was reeled in by Federer, and then to continue fighting in this deciding set, even though Federer got off to a pretty decent lead.
Time. Thank you.
And again, sticking to a winning formula. So much easier for Federer when he gets that first serve in play. So far in this deciding set, he's won 94% of the points when it's found its mark. 15 of 16.
Well, that first serve from Federer was sort of reminiscent of that serve that he hit to Djokovic on match point in the US Open. Sort of just rolled it in there.
Don't mention that.
He can't hear me.
Ooh, just missed. Still 2 points away.
Net.
Well, he's had to try and add to the pace that he can generate from the back of the court in order to try and hurt Federer. And it's meant that he has made some wonderful shots, but made too many unforced errors at the tail end of the set. Here's Federer, 2 match points. And that'll do it. Victory for Federer.
16, 5-7, 6-4.
It's the first time, though, in 8 meetings now that Seppi's been able to take a set off the defending champion. So he'll be delighted with his performance. Certainly played a lot more aggressively this evening than we've seen him previously against the Swiss #1. And Federer responded well at the beginning of that deciding set, and it was enough in the end to see him over the finish line. Federer does indeed roar on into the semi-finals here at the expense of Andreas Seppi. 6-3, 5-7, 6-4.
Well, looking ahead to tomorrow's semi-finals, probably what Federer would have wanted to test. Taken to 3 sets. It was an in-and-out performance from the 16-time Grand Slam champion. Started well, was great in the first set. Lost a bit of concentration in the second, but regrouped well in the third and served terrifically well also in the last set. And he'll be delighted he's through to semi-final. Got a chance to play Tsonga again. As for Seppi, well, I thought he played really well and aggressively.
Well, he's got the better of Seppi. Can Federer now get the better of Robbie Koenig?
Well done today, Rog. How do you assess that performance of yours out there?
Yeah, it was tough. I just started well and was able to take control of variation and aggressive play in the second set. He definitely started to hit the ball a bit better. And in the third, it was pretty close. I'm happy to be through. It was a close match. I think Andreas played a good match, and I'm relieved to be in the semis.
A funny old second set that was, topsy-turvy. We thought you were down and out. Suddenly came back. What's going through your mind at that point when you're down 5-1?
Let's try to get back to 5-all and then lose 7-5. No, I don't know. Look, you try to hang in there and try to get off a good start in his service games to make him doubt a bit, and then all of a sudden you can pull out some good shots, and I was able to do that, but then he closed it out nicely at 6-5 was a break, so he started to play more aggressive, and he deserves a second set.
Tell me, Jo-Wilfried Tsonga tomorrow, whenever you guys play, it's real box.